All right, thank you guys. Welcome to our Major League Baseball video here today for Wednesday, May 26th. My name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally here today, don't forget to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. Now guys, we are once again coming fresh off a 4-1 day in our 5 premium sports picks on my Patreon website yesterday. And that's going to put us at 64% in our last 11 $1.99 daily best plays on that Patreon page. And if you want to access today's $1.99 daily best play, that's right, it's only going to cost you just $1.99. Now, we currently have over 1,225 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that page is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with the 4 o'clock game. I'm talking about the Rangers versus the Angels, 4:07 Eastern first pitch. The LA Angels are -115, totals 9. Griffin Canning for Los Angeles, Dane Dunning for Texas. Now Dunning comes into today's start with a 3.74 ERA and 48 strikeouts. The Rangers have also won 3 out of their last 4 ball games. They scored 5 runs or more 3 times during that stretch. They're taking on an Angels club who's in last place in the AL West. LA's got a losing record on their home field, and their pitching staff is in the bottom 3 in runs allowed. Griffin Canning comes into today's start with a 5.56 ERA and a 1.50 whip. And when it comes to the total in this one, the Angels have gone 18-8 to the over on their home field, 29-19 to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, Texas saw 15 out of 24 road games get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Texas Rangers plus $1 in the over 9 runs. Next game, Cubs-Pirates, 6:35 Eastern Standard Time. Chicago's -130, totals 8.5. Trevor Williams for the Cubbies, Will Crow for Pittsburgh. Crow's 0-2 with a 4.91 ERA and a 1.48 whip. The Pirates are currently in last place in the NL Central, 11 games below 500. They also have just a .400 win percentage at PNC Park. And they score the fewest runs than any other team in the league. This Pittsburgh lineup scores only 3.3 times a game. They're taking on a Chicago club who's won their last 2 straight, 7-2 straight up in their last 9. The Chicago pitching staff is also in the top 10 in striking batters out on the road. Trevor Williams has 42 strikeouts in just over 37 innings of work. And when it comes to the total on this one, Chicago's 13-9 to the under when they bat first, 28-19 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, the Pirates are 28-19 to the under for the entire year themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago Cubs -130 in the under 8.5. Next game, Phillies, Marlins, 6:40 p.m. East. Now, this game's currently off the board. Aaron Nola for the Fightins, no confirmed starter yet for Miami. Now this Marlins lineup is in the bottom 10 in scoring, bottom 5 in strikeouts at the plate. They're taking on a Phillies club who won 2 out of their last 3. They have Aaron Nola on the bump here today. He struck out 70 batters in just over 59 innings pitched. Nola comes into today's start with a 3.94 ERA and a 1.13 whip. Now, this Phillies pitching staff is also in the top 3 in fewest walks allowed per 9 on the road. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Philadelphia Phillies winning this one outright for some money line cash. Next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Blue Jays versus the Yankees, 7:05 Eastern start time. The New York Yankees are -145, totals 9.5. Domingo Germán for the Yankees, Alek Manoah for Toronto. Now Manoah is getting his first start here today. It does come against a Yankees team who's just 1 game out of first place in the AL East. New York's currently 8 games above 500. And they also got the W in 6 out of their last 7 ball games. Domingo Germán comes into today's start with a 4-2 record and a 3.05 ERA. The righty has also got himself a 1.11 whip. And when it comes to the number in this one, New York's seen nearly 70% of their home games stay under the line. They're also 30-18 to the under for the entire year. Meanwhile, Toronto's gone 62% to the under as the away team themselves. I'm going to lean toward the New York Yankees minus 145 and the under 9.5. Next matchup, Reds, Nats, 7:05 Eastern first pitch. The Washington Nationals are minus 140, totals 10. Joe Ross for the Nationals, Jeff Hoffman for Cincinnati. Now, Hoffman's 3-3 on the year with 39 strikeouts. His Reds lineup is also in the top 5 in scoring on average per game, top 5 in hits. Nick Castellanos is batting .359, 12 homers, 30 RBI for the outfielder. Meanwhile, Jesse Winker's leading the club in homers with 13 of them. He also has an OPS of 1.069, which is actually in the top 5 in the majors. They're taking on a Washington club who's in last place in the NL East. Now, this Nationals lineup is in the bottom 10 in scoring on average per game, and they're averaging just 3.7 runs a game on their home field. Joe Ross is taking the mound for Washington here tonight. He's just 2-4 with a 5.72 ERA and a 1.47 whip. Now, total-wise, Washington is 16-7 to the under on their home field. They've also gone 29-15 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, Cincinnati saw 7 out of their last 10 meetings with Washington stay under the number themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Cincinnati Reds plus 1.5 and the under 10 runs. Next ball game, Indians versus the Tigers, 7:10 Eastern Standard Time. The Cleveland Indians are minus $1.25, totals 9.5. Tristan McKenzie for the Indians, Jose Urena for Detroit. Now, Urena's just 2-4 with a 4.62 ERA and a 1.48 whip. Detroit's back in the cellar in the AL Central, 12 games below 500. The Tigers have won just 9 of 23 home games, and they're in the bottom 3 in the league here in scoring on average per game. They're taking on a Cleveland club who's 6 games above 500. They've also gone 11-5 in their divisional road games. This Cleveland pitching staff is in the top 10 in fewest runs allowed, top 5 in fewest hits allowed on the road. Tristan McKenzie has also struck out 44 total batters in just over 31 innings of work. And when it comes to the total on this one, Cleveland saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Detroit stay under the line. Meanwhile, the Tigers have gone 15-8 to the under in their home games themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Indians minus $1.25 and the under 9.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Royals versus the Rays, 7:10 Eastern start time. The Tampa Bay Rays are minus $2, total 7 runs. Tyler Glasnow for the Rays, Mike Minor for Kansas City. Now, Minor struck out 52 batters in just 49 innings of work. He comes into today's start with a 3-2 record and a 1.24 whip. Now, this Royals pitching staff allows just 3.7 runs a game away from home, and they rank in the top 10 in road hits allowed. They're taking on a Rays club who has a losing home record. This Tampa Bay squad is also leading the majors in strikeouts at the plate. The Rays are striking out nearly 11 times a game at Tropicana Field. That's analytics for you. This Tampa Bay lineup also averages just 3.5 runs per contest as the home team. When it comes to the total on this one, Tampa's gone 14-10 to the under on their home field. Meanwhile, the Royals saw 15 out of their last 21 road games stay under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Kansas City Royals plus 1.5 and the under 7 runs. Next ball game, Braves versus the Red Sox, 7:10 p.m. East. The Boston Red Sox are minus 140, numbers 10.5. Nick Pivetta for Boston, Drew Smyly for Atlanta. Now, Smyly comes into today's start with a 5.11 ERA and a 1.32 whip. And despite their recent success, the Braves are currently just 2-7 straight up in their last 9 against the American League. This Braves pitching staff is in the bottom 10 in runs allowed, bottom 10 in hits allowed as well. They're taking on a Boston club who won 4 out of their last 6, and they rank in the top 3 in the majors in hits on average per game. Rafael Devers leads the club in homers with 13 of them. He's also 3rd in the majors with 40 total RBI. Meanwhile, Xander Bogaerts is batting .343, which is in the top 5 in the big leagues as well. Now, the shortstop has hit 10 homers and knocked in 30. He's also in the top 10 in the league in OPS. The Sox have Nick Pivetta on the bump here this evening. I don't know, dude. You're just diarrhea of the mouth here. They have Nick Pivetta on the bump here this evening. He's a perfect 5-0 on the season with a .359 ERA and 50 strikeouts. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, 4 out of Boston's last 6 meetings with the National League stayed under the line. Meanwhile, the Braves are currently 13-8 to the under when they bat first. Give me the Boston Red Sox -140 and the under 10 and a hook. Next game, Rockies, Mets, 7-10 East. The New York Mets are -135, numbers 6.5. Marcus Stroman for the Mets, Herman Marquez for Colorado. Now, Marquez is just 3-4 with a .482 ERA and a 1.59 whip. The righties also walked 30 batters. The Rockies are a league worst 3-18 straight up as the away team, and they rank dead last in road hits. Colorado's averaging only 2.7 runs a game when they travel. They're taking on a Mets club who's been real good at Citi Field. They're 12-5 straight up in Flushing, Queens, 10-3 straight up against the National League at home as well. This Mets pitching staff leads the majors in fewest runs allowed at home. They're giving up only 2 runs per contest on the dot as the official home team. Marcus Stroman's got a .273 ERA and a 1.08 whip. When it comes to the total in this one, New York's 14-3 to the under on their home field, 25-17 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, Colorado's gone 12-9 to the under as the away team themselves. I'm going to lean toward the New York Mets -135 in the under 6.5. Next ball game, Dodgers versus the Astros, 7:40 p.m. Eastern start time. The LA Dodgers are -145, totals 8, juice to the over. Trevor Bauer for Los Angeles, Luis Garcia for Houston. Now, Garcia comes into today's start with a .338 ERA and a 1.10 whip. He's also fanned 47 batters in just 40 innings pitched. The Astros currently lead the majors in hits on average per contest. They also strike out less than any other team in the majors at the plate. Kyle Tucker's hit 10 home runs and knocked in 28. Meanwhile, Yuli Gurriel leads the club with 38 ribbies, along with a .312 batting average. This Astros lineup is also in the top 3 in the league in home scoring. They're taking on a Dodger club who strikes out nearly 10 times a game at the plate. They've also successfully cashed in on the run line in only 11 of 26 road games. Now, total-wise, Los Angeles has seen their last 3 straight all get over the total of 8 runs. Meanwhile, the Astros are 60% to the over at Minute Maid Park, 31-17 to the over for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros +1.5 in the over 8 runs. Next ball game, still on that 7 o'clock slate here, although we only have 2 more games to go. I'm talking about the Padres versus the Brewers, 7:40 Eastern Standard Time. Padres are -130, numbers 8. Paddock for the Pods, Lauer for Milwaukee. Now, the Brewers have won just 11 of 24 on their home field, bottom 3 in the league in home scoring. This Brewers lineup is averaging only 3.4 runs a game at Miller Park. They're also striking out over 10 times a game at the plate. They're taking on a first-place San Diego club who's 13 games above .500, and they've gone 13-8 straight up as the away team. The Pods lead the league in fewest runs allowed. They also lead the league in fewest hits allowed as well. San Diego is giving up only 3.1 runs per contest. Also, Chris Paddock comes into today's start with a .396 ERA and 34 total strikeouts. Now, scoring-wise, 7 out of the Padres' last 10 meetings with Milwaukee stayed under the line. I'm going to lean toward the San Diego Padres -130 and the under 8 runs. Next and final matchup for the show, it is going to be Giants versus the Dbacks, 9:40 p.m. Eastern first pitch. The San Francisco Giants are -120, totals 9. Johnny Cueto for the Giants, Merrill Kelly for Arizona. Kelly's just 2-5 on the season, 5.05 ERA, 1.37 WHIP. The D-backs have the second fewest wins in all of baseball, and their pitching staff ranks dead last in the league in hits allowed. Arizona is currently 13 games below 500. They're taking on a Giants team who won 6 out of their last 9 ball games, and they rank in the top 3 in the league in runs allowed. The San Francisco pitching staff allows only 3.5 runs a game when they travel. Johnny Cueto also comes into today's start with a 3-1 record and a 3.34 ERA. Now, total-wise, the Giants saw 13 out of their last 22 divisional games get over the posted number. Meanwhile, the D-backs are 11-8 to the over as the home team. I'm going to lean toward the San Francisco Giants -120 in the over 9 runs. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my Patreon website. I like Texas plus $1 over 9 runs. Chicago Cubs -130 under 8.5. Philadelphia winning that one outright for some money line cash. New York Yankees -145 under 9.5. Cincinnati plus 1.5 under 10 runs. Cleveland -$1.25 under 9.5. Kansas City plus 1.5 under 7. Boston -140 under 10.5. New York Mets -135 under 6.5 runs. Houston plus 1.5 over 8. San Diego -130 under 8 runs. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we went 4-1 in our 5 premium sports picks on my Patreon website yesterday. That's going to put us at 64% in our last $11.99 daily best plays on that Patreon page as well. I'm going to lean toward the San Francisco Giants -$120 and the over 9 runs. And with that, guys, once again, if you found yourself really enjoying this video here today, please feel free to give it a thumbs up by smashing that like button. And if you're new here today or this week, please feel free to welcome yourself to the family by hitting that subscribe button as well. I'd love to connect with you. And with that, guys, that is going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind Patreon's going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.